thank you for having a conversation with Human Capital. My question to you is, you have a breadth of experience across multiple industries. As a strategic and innovative HR professional, what has been this journey like?
Thank you for having me. And it's been a conscious choice to always change industry whenever I have looked for a new assignment, a new challenge. Two reasons actually. One, I give my heart and soul to the organization I work for. I've always been part of really high growth organizations. We've built organizations from being a very small company to a large company. So I can't go and work with the competition. So it just doesn't fit into my own value system. Second is that I would have been really bored to death doing HR in the same industry where the same set of problem exists, the same set of metrics exist, and same set of kind of people you work with. So every time when I have changed industry, I have to go on the ground zero. So that's what I talked about. I strongly believe that you have to go to the ground zero. You have to completely unlearn. So what works in one company doesn't work in another, especially in industry. So I had to completely unlearn, become a rookie again, and then relearn the whole this thing. So then one, it's exciting. Second, you are constantly adding value to yourself. And third is that then you're getting to solve very different problems.
What is your definition of innovation, and how do you build the culture of innovation?
So my definition of innovation is that when you look at any problem, are you looking at completely with a new lens, or are you trying to just make a little change or little incremental change? So for me, innovation is really kind of betting the farm, kind of saying, okay, let's go and do what is the right thing for that problem to solve without really getting bogged down by what impact it will create in my core business or my core process. So really, innovation means that look at it from outside in perspective, absolutely, again, as a first principle problem solving lens, and solve that problem. And then figure out what impact it will have with the current existing product. So like when, just to give you an example, Hotstar, when it came out with its first ad, it actually kind of talked about to kill TV, right? TV is our core business. But we were open to have Hotstar take that space where we are very comfortable to say that one day Hotstar will become larger than the Star TV. So you have to be very, very open to disrupt completely, and so when we talk about culture of innovation, we are always pushed, and we always push our team to say, think big, don't think incremental. Think of, just do few things, but really throw the ball out of the court. Don't try to do 200 small things and think that we are being innovative. So we actually just focus on just a couple of really big things, but really do it very, very differently. So that's really the culture which we drive in Stark.
What is that one thing the HR should focus on to drive innovation?
I think HR has to get out of this whole mindset of control and policy and process. It has to start thinking of, employees as their biggest and become the biggest champion. The one thing which I personally strongly believe, and that's what I tell my team all the time, is that the balance has got tilted. So there was so much of focus which happened on HR being business partner that most of the people have kind of kept employee championing at the bottom now. I always tell my team that there are many custodians for the business, but HR has to be the custodian for employees and be the true champion. We also always say that HR has to be the conscience keeper for the company and for the managers, for the leadership, and drive it in a way that give the benefit of doubt to the employee always. So keep the employee at the core, and that's something which we need to change. What has happened is that we've kind of kept a lot of places. I see the employees have gone in the periphery. Business is in the core. Business has to be the core because that's the reason for all of us to come together. But for HR, I think one thing has to come back is the employee championing has to come back at the core. And second, they have to get out of this whole, process mentality and think of everything from employee and business perspective to say, what do we do differently to enable the employee to enable value for the business?
What are the contemporary issues confronting the HR strategy?
I think some of the issues are very core and it's been there for over the years, but it's now become much more bigger challenges with the kind of companies coming in. So in my mind, attracting and retaining top talent is always a core issue. It's always a strategic priority for HR. And I always see getting, top talent from anywhere in the world. So we go and look for the talent from anywhere in the world. And I always say that getting those kind of core key talent is like, cracking an investment banking deal. So how do you structure the compensation? How do you structure the overall? How do you ensure that you are engaged with the candidates? I think really that core issue will continue to stay as the organizations are growing, as the new competition is coming. It's something which is very, very important. Similarly, for the second issue, I think, which is very again important and burning right now is how do we prepare as HR ourselves as well as for employees for the massive change which is happening at workforce. Use of technology, new technology coming in. How are we reskilling the employees? But before we can reskill the employees, are we ourselves aware of it? What changes are going to happen? How do we then get ready to prepare our employees to, it's very easy to just change the workforce. But how do you carry that workforce along with you and get them ready to be, able to deal with the change? And that, I think, is second very, very key strategic issue facing the HR team. Again, how do we change culture? Culture is again a very, very big piece in my mind, because how do we get it ready for the new generation? They are very different. They're not someone who will just take instructions. I see it my own family and my own kids are not, unless you explain how and why they need to do something, they're not going to just listen to me because I'm mother or I'm a senior. The same kids are joining the workforce, and they're going to ask the same questions. And as a leader, are we getting our leaders and are we creating a culture where actually the leadership is not through authority, but through the how and why? But through explaining the purpose and why, aligning everybody together, say this is why we need to do something. And I think that's the third very big thing. Fourth is really about how do we build diversity. And when I say diversity, it is not about just gender, but it's about even diversity of experience. So like when it comes to talent, you want to make a top talent organization, then go where the talent is, go and find them. In Star, we have done at all levels. For our Hindi TV channels, we went to the Hindi heartland. We went to Patna, Banaras, Varanasi, Indore to find creative talent, bring them in, put them in the program. And we have gone global for Hotstar. We've gone and hired from Google, Amazon, Facebook, from all over the world.